Emerald Twilight. Chapter 1. The Taste of Salt and Hibiscus. The air wasn't just hot. It was heavy, nearly solid, thick with the scent of wild vanilla and sea salt. Lani opened her eyes. Beneath her feet, the blinding white sand was still radiating heat despite the fatting afternoon. Before her, the ocean stretched out like a sheet of turquoise silk, fringed by the lazy, white foam of a motionless lagoon. She knew this feeling. The caress of the breeze on the back of her neck, the shrill cry of the green parrot in the mango tree behind her, and that light, that liquid gold light that turned every grain of sand into a tiny, flickering diamond. It was the 5th time, or perhaps the 100th. She glanced at her watch. 5:42 p.m. In 18 minutes, the sun would touch the horizon, the sky would ignite in a supernatural violet, and everything would stop. A dull thud, a flash of white, and she would wake up right here, at this exact moment, with the taste of fresh pineapple still lingering on her lips. Destiny isn't a path you follow, Lani. It's a lock, and you must find the combination. The village elder had told her just before the first cycle began. Lani stood up, brushing the sand from her linen dress. She knew what she had already tried, running to the village to warn the others fail, diving into the lagoon to hide from the flash fail, staying perfectly still with her eyes closed fail. This time, she noticed something different. A strange glint on the path of red hibiscus flowers. A shadow that didn't seem to belong to this paradise. She suddenly realized that the ideal destiny wasn't about saving the island. It was about saving herself from a truth she refused to face. Chapter 2. The Song of the Jungle. Lani stepped into the tree line. Here, the golden light only reached the ground in timid slivers, piercing the canopy of giant leaves. The humidity spiked, wrapping her skin in a veil of moisture. The silence of the beach was replaced by an invisible orchestra, the snapping of branches, the drone of heavy insects, and the distant, haunting call of a lemur. She was looking for Kalala's hut. In previous versions of this day, she had never reached it in time. Time is a circle, little one, but you choose if it is a golden ring or an iron chain, the healer had once said. Lani tripped over a banyan root. Her hands met the soil black, rich, and fragrant. She didn't rush. She realized that every time she had run, she had failed. The island didn't like haste. It demanded contemplation. She stopped before a cascade of wild orchids, flowers so deep purple they seemed to swallow the light. She picked one and tucked it behind her ear. At that moment, the wind shifted. The scent of wood smoke and sandalwood incense guided her. The hut was there, perched on bamboo stilts, surrounded by towering tree ferns. Chapter 3. The Mirror of the Soul. Kalala wasn't surprised. She sat on the porch, grinding roots in a mortar made of volcanic stone. You're late, Lani. Or perhaps you're early for the next time. I want it to stop, Mamie. I want tomorrow to exist, The old woman looked up, her eyes clouded by age, but sharp with wisdom. Tomorrow isn't a right, it's a reward. You seek the perfect destiny. But what is that? A life without pain, an island without storms. Through the branches, the sky was turning a bruised orange. 5:52 p.m. 8 minutes left. Look into the mortar, the old woman commanded. Lani leaned in. She didn't see crushed roots. She saw reflections of her own life. She saw herself as a child on this very beach. She saw her father sailing away on a day of high winds, never to return. It hit her then. The cycle hadn't started today. It had started the day she refused to mourn. She had stayed frozen in time, in this postcard-perfect reality, refusing to grow up, refusing to let the memories wash away. The white flash at the end of every day wasn't a disaster. It was her own mind resetting reality because she couldn't face the darkness of the night. Chapter 4. The Great Conflagration. The perfect destiny, Lani whispered, tears blurring her vision, isn't for everything to be perfect. It's accepting that the sun has to set for good. She left the hut and ran not to escape, but to return to the shore. She wanted to witness the end. 5:58 p.m. She burst onto the sand. The sight was terrifyingly beautiful. The sun was a dying ember sinking into the sea. The sky was a battlefield of fuchsia, indigo, and ochre. The waves seemed driven by a magnetic force, crashing with the sound of breaking crystal. She sat at the water's edge. The heat was still there, but it no longer oppressed her. It embraced her. 5:59 p.m. Usually, this was when she would squeeze her eyes shut, terrified of the light. This time, she kept them wide open. She stared at the horizon, waiting for the fabled green flash. I love you, Dad. I love you, memories. But I'm letting you go. The sun vanished completely. An absolute silence fell over the island. The air turned cool, almost crisp. The white flash began to glow, and then it flickered out. Chapter 5. The First Morning. The darkness wasn't replaced by white, but by a velvet sky blanketed in stars. For the first time in an eternity, Lani saw the Milky Way stretching over the lagoon. The moon, a silver crescent, shimmered on the dark water. The sound of the waves had changed. It was no longer the rhythmic thumping of a loop, but the living, breathing movement of a tide. She lay back on the sand, which was slowly losing its warmth. She didn't wake up at 8:00 a.m. under a scorching sun. She fell asleep under the midnight breeze. When she finally opened her eyes, the sky was pearl gray, announcing the dawn. A small sea turtle was emerging from a nest nearby, making its way toward the water. Time had resumed its march. Lani stood up, her body a bit stiff, but her heart light. She was no longer a prisoner of paradise. She was its traveler. She picked up a seashell and tucked it into her pocket, proof of this new day, and began walking toward the village. Behind her, the sun rose. It wasn't the same sun as yesterday. It It was the first sun of her future.